This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Folks, football is back, and BetOnline remains your number one source for all your football betting needs this season. You'll find the latest odds, matchup info, player news, and game trends. As your continued source for all sports-related info, BetOnline features live betting, free contests, live scores, and giveaways all season long. Always the fastest and easiest way to bet all your favorite sports and events like MLB, MMA, tennis, boxing, and even golf. Head to betonline.ag, that's BETOLINE.ag, to receive your 100% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Make sure you use the promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, to receive your rewards. BetOnline, where the game starts, and also BetOnline sponsors the Bossman Show on your radio. Folks, back on the Bossman Show, my buddy Tennessee Brad Batt's here with me. Elections coming up here real soon. I have my Tennessee mail-in ballot right here with me on my desk here to vote for my people from Nashville. They split up in three ways. The Tennessee GOP doing what they do best. Brad, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Fresh from across the world, so I'm still tired, but I'm here, man.
Well, welcome back to the Eastern time zone.
Yes, I'm so glad to be back. So, Brad, as we talked about, man, election's coming up here. November 8th is coming up here real soon. Jason Marge running for governor of Tennessee. Mm-hmm. I'm worried because we know in Tennessee is very red, and I know the Democrat Party says it's more purple than red, but I'm not seeing enough engagement and outreach, and Memphis and Nashville can't carry the day to get him over the line. Yeah. When you have East Tennessee and West Tennessee that's rural, it's going to vote for Bill Lee just against their own interests, of course. So, how are you feeling about this, man?
I hope not. Well, last week a nonpartisan poll came out that put the governor's race in Tennessee within 5 points. So that's Bill Lee at 45 and Jason Martin at 40%, which is striking distance. So I'm hopeful, but you're right. Bill Lee isn't trying to engage. He refuses to debate. He doesn't want to run any campaign. He just wants to spew the same old tired political rhetoric that we've heard from top down. And he just kind of gets his marching orders and repeats the same talking points that we hear across the country. And I see a lot of Republicans doing this, especially in Tennessee. None of them want to debate. None of them want to have an honest conversation. They've gerrymandered the state so much that the people that are in the GOP, especially in the state legislature, are radicals. And they're corrupt too. Since we've talked, Glenn Casada, who was the former Speaker of the House who resigned in disgrace, he's been indicted along with his former chief of staff, Cade Cothran. They've both been indicted. They're under federal investigation for campaign improprieties with money. There's another woman implicated, Robin something, if I'm remembering correctly, who had resigned under the cloud of all this corruption. We've had other representatives resign from the House with campaign irregularities. Like it's insane the way that our state legislature operates. And Bill Lee tries to stay above the fray, but he's right in it. He's working to try to take over Tennessee schools, bringing in Hillsdale College, which is a very far right wing, supposedly Christian college, but that's not what I would call them. I think they are just right wing history deniers. And they want to come in and they want to profit off of public schools. They want to take public taxpayer money and put it into private pockets, including the pockets of billionaires like Betsy DeVos and her family. So I think that people are paying attention to these issues. Bill Lee sat on a stage with Larry Arnn from Hillsdale College, while Larry said that teachers come from the dumbest parts of the dumbest colleges. And let me tell you, teachers were not happy to hear that statement, and then to hear Bill Lee not even dispute it. You know, he tried to put some distance from himself in the statement, but he's still advocating for this guy who says teachers come from the dumbest parts of the dumbest colleges to take over Tennessee schools. So I think some of those things, people are paying attention. And I hope everyone across Tennessee is paying attention, from Memphis to Mountain City. And Jason Martin's been out here to Johnson City several times. I see him on social media at different events all the time. So he's getting out there. I hope the word is being spread. And today's the last day to register to vote. And then I think we have like 27 days till election. So we'll see what happens.
And Brad, what I've noticed here in Georgia and in Tennessee, the DSCC, the DCCC, the Democratic Association is not putting money on the ground enough, because I feel like this, you have to engage people for months, keep them engaged so they can know what's going on. Coming in October is in that last second, may not give people might feel like you only come around this time of year every 2 years. So I feel like national Democrats in DC, consultants in DC and in LA and New York don't look at the South as a way to win. You have to actually compete down here in the South to change these legislatures to codify a role and save schools and not let them conservatively be fiscally conservative when it benefits them, have surplus like that we have in Georgia, Arkansas, and Tennessee. It's like, I feel like it starts from that national all the way down for us, putting money on the ground to help us engage and get people out to the polls.
Yeah, I mean, it starts at the local level, I think. I think the strategy has been to write off certain districts or certain areas or certain states, and that's a terrible strategy. I think we should run campaigns in a party that addresses every single county in Tennessee. I think that's what the Tennessee State Party's trying to do. In politics, people have an idea of how it works, but a lot of it is local engagement, local county parties, people deciding they're fed up. So they say, I'm going to run for school board, or I'm going to run for city commission and make a difference. And a lot of it is on your own, and you're figuring out. And national politics is just a different animal. And I wish people would understand that here in Washington County and East Tennessee, we have issues that are local to Washington County, Tennessee. This isn't about Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer or Trump. It's about East Tennessee. It's about people being able to afford to live their lives, being able to afford rent. We have housing prices increasing, rent prices increasing. We have people that can't get health care. They can't afford it. Our state legislature refuses to expand Medicaid. Like all these things, if you get sick and need to see a doctor, that no one asks you if you're Republican or Democrat. I mean, these are things that affect all of us. If your kids are in public school, you don't go into third grade and they say, okay, well, red's on this side, blue's on this side. Like, that's not how it works. We all need to read. We need to learn. We need to get educated. We need to have opportunity. People need to make a fair wage. They should be able to see a doctor if they get sick. I mean, these are common issues, but at the national level, we're so divided and polarized. And I hate that there's too many politicians, I think, that try to stoke that fire rather than put it out and say, look, we've got some really fundamental issues that we've got to address so that we can all be better off and stop this just complete partisan, just hyper partisan rhetoric at the national level. It's not helping us. Meanwhile, Tennesseans are suffering.
No doubt, Brad. Like in McKenzie, Tennessee, or Martin, Tennessee, up there, like they got to travel 45 minutes for a hospital because the rural hospital closes because they won't expand Medicaid. That's free money for the state of Tennessee. But because they look at it as helping the poor, they don't want to do it.
Yeah, and it's such a misnomer. I mean, we lose, I think it's $5.5 million a day. It's $1 billion a year, and it's our tax money. We've paid this money in on our federal taxes, income taxes. We've paid it in. We're supposed to get it back to the states so that we can keep some of these hospitals open. Tennessee has one of the largest numbers of hospital closures over the last several years. We're number one in medical bankruptcies. GoFundMe isn't a replacement for healthcare. It's ridiculous that we're all living on the edge of, us or our spouse or someone in our family getting cancer or some other debilitating disease. And then while you're dealing with that and dealing with the trauma of maybe losing a family member, maybe it's the income earner of your family, you're supposed to go on the internet and beg people for money on a GoFundMe. I mean, that's just, to me, that is horrific that we're doing that. And the reality is, even if you have great insurance, if the hospital in your town closes down because our supermajority Republican legislature refuses to expand Medicare, that hospital's closed. I mean, you can show up with a briefcase full of cash, like it's closed. And it's not just even hospitals closing, they reduce the trauma levels that a ER is able to accommodate. So depending on what your needs are, you might have to pass by 2 or 3 hospitals if you're in an ambulance to get to somewhere where, this is a level 1 trauma or level 2 that can take care of the issue. So it's certainly an issue that rural Tennesseans should care about, because that's who it's affecting mostly. It doesn't affect the big cities. We have to remember our rural communities. We all go to the grocery store and we like to buy food, fresh food. Like, those are coming from farms. Those are coming from rural Tennessee. And, frankly, I think the Democrats could do a much better job of addressing and recapturing rural areas that used to be, I don't know how many years ago, but kind of used to be the bread and butter of the Democratic Party. And I think they feel like people have given up on them. And I think they're right. I think both parties have, and to some extent. But I see a lot of movement in the Democratic Party in rural organizing that I'm really hopeful that things are going to change in the near future.
And here in Georgia, Brad, it's very key. We have 159 counties here in Georgia. You got to go beyond Fulton County, Douglas, all the counties around Atlanta, because 159 counties, you got to engage those rural voters. Rather than 80-20, it's 60-40 now. And that eventually, with statewide, it helps you catch up, make up some ground. So you have to go out and engage all the counties here in Georgia. So I'm glad that Abrams and Warnock are doing that, because that is what you got to do here in Georgia. Tennessee has 95 counties in Tennessee. So you have to go from Mountain City to Memphis and just work it. And I know that I've talked to some people in different parts of Tennessee. They have 10 counties that they've highlighted, but I'm like, you need to do more than 10 counties. Don't give up on all them counties.
Right.
They have 10 they want to attack, but I said, no, you should do all of them.
And when you talk to people and when you show up, I see a lot of candidates online, when they go talk to and engage rural voters. First of all, they're excited that someone showed up. So that's the first step, is getting out and engaging with people. And then I think you can get past some of that rhetoric, that they hear from the media that they consume, and they realize, like, oh, this is a person standing in front of me. They're not this evil, what I have in my mind, what an evil Democrat is, or, whatever at the national level, that this rhetoric just, they're coming for your kids. They're trying to destroy your kids or turn them into this or that. Like, the level of rhetoric and the fear that they try to induce in people is really just shameful. Like, I know it's nothing new. We've been doing this for decades, but it feels like it's gone to a different level in the last 5, 6, 7 years, for sure.
Brad, I'll tell you a story 4 years ago in Turner County, Georgia. I'm down here canvassing to help out. This lady said to me, "You're not bad for a colored guy."
Oh, geez.
It was 2018, Brad. I was like, really, ma'am? But okay. I don't think she meant to be bad by it. She's like,
right,
bad for a colored guy. I'm like, what you think down here in Turner County, Georgia, in 2018?
That I think people are isolated, man. I think that you got to wonder who they're around that they say things like that and never get corrected, or never have anyone kind of go wide-eyed at, a comment like that, a racist comment. And it's unfortunate. I feel lied to with my education. Yeah, I'm coming up on 50 in February, my birthday, and I was told we handled all this stuff, right? Like that's what I was taught. Like with the civil rights movement, and they bring you through it, and the teacher's like, "Oh, this is what we did." And you're like, "Oh, good, okay, now everyone's equal. We're okay, yeah." But it's a lie. Like here we are, we're still dealing with repercussions, generational repercussions, and we don't want to address it. And in fact, now like we should be at a point in time where we can have these honest discussions, and we have the internet, and people are more connected than ever. But instead, what we have is this uprising of a small radical group of white moms that want to censor education. And they want to say, and the whole critical race theory. And I knew they were going to do this. They come out with this term. They try to throw all these terms, and they find one that works, right? Because it used to be political correctness, but that one's lost its appeal, right? That's a couple decades old. So political correctness, no one cares about that anymore, right? So they start saying other things, and they finally found one that stuck: the critical race theory. It sounds scary, and then they start labeling everything that has anything to do with race or minorities critical race theory. So now they start saying, oh, the book about Ruby Bridges in New Orleans going to the first, being one of the first kids to integrate an all-white school, and the iconic picture with the federal marshals escorting this little 6-year-old girl to kindergarten, like that's critical race theory. No, it's not. It's just history. It's history. It's a thing that happened. And if we don't teach those things, then we are giving our children and the next generation a deficient education. And we're going to repeat these same terrible things instead of getting rid of them once and for all. And I don't understand it. And I think we have to push back on it, because the people in those small groups, they're running for school boards, they're running for state house seats, and they have a very narrow view of how they think everyone should live and what they should believe. And to me, that's just not America. That's certainly not freedom. And we got to push back on it. It's just about living in reality and trying to get better as a state and as a country. We can't just say we're the best. I mean, let's talk about sports for a minute, right? Like, can you imagine if after every game, the head coach came in and said, oh, we're the best. That was best. Like, even you lose, you say, oh, we're the best. That's not what you do.
It would fall tired real quick.
Right? Like, that's not, there's only one way to get better, and that's to look at yourself and to say, okay, here's what we did good. Here are some areas where, we need to improve. Here are some areas that we really did badly, and we got to fix these core problems. And that's where we are. And so we got a bunch of people right now that want to deny that we have these issues, and they want to make sure the next generation doesn't learn anything about them. And I'm not going to have it. Now I got to go extra mile to teach my daughter, which I do. I'm like, no, I tell her exactly what's going on. I'm like, these people are trying to ban these books, So now she just wants to read those books, which is great. Like, read the banned books. That's what I would tell, like, read the banned, whatever they're trying to tell you, don't read it.
And Brad, I got a letter from a sponsor who told me that they're not sponsoring me, but I tell lies, that I don't live the way I say. You don't have it that bad. You live in a fantasy world. You're making this up. You're playing to the woke mob. Like I said, I sent a letter back. You can't tell me how I live as a black man in Georgia. Sorry. If you don't want to sponsor me, fine, but you won't use your radical religious extremism that you back to conservatism to tell me about my life. But a sponsor left me because I'm spewing lies about really what's going on here in Georgia and with my life, my experiences, Brad. I'm like, really? How can you tell me what's going on in my life?
Yeah. But they don't see it because you're living your life. It's two things. Like, they don't live your life, and then they don't want to listen and believe your lived experience as you're telling them. And I think that's a big problem across the board. Of course, it affects issues with race. It affects issues with women. Look how many men we have in the state legislature that they just don't. Women are saying, this is what we want. This is what's happening to us. We're outraged. And they're just like, no, it's not. No, like they just are so dismissive of other people's voices that it's an incredible way to be, but especially if you're going to govern, if you're going to be a governor or a state representative, how can you represent people when you're not listening to what they're saying? Here's what's happened in my life,
No doubt, Brad. And it's shameful that let's be honest, it's white men in the legislature telling women who can't get pregnant what to do with their bodies. Like, let's be honest about that. But they'll go pay for an abortion on the low, and they didn't want to get caught. But nah, you can't tell it what to do with their body. I thought it was about freedoms in America, right?
Yeah.
But y'all could restrict their bodies, but yours not restricted.
It comes down to not looking at people as people and not looking at them as equal. And that's our long history. That is our history, whether you like it or not. It's very plain to see. You can Google it, DuckDuckGo, whatever you want to do, get on it. It's all right there. It's easy to research. You don't have to be a history major or an expert, but we've got to acknowledge this. And it starts with listening to the people who are saying this is what's happening to us. Let me tell you one of the things I'm really excited about in Tennessee. I don't know if you're familiar with Justin Jones.
I'm not, but I love everybody.
Okay. He is a young man. He's in his late 20s. He was one of the leaders or the leader of protests at the state capitol in 2020 during a lot of the Black Lives Matters protests. He tried for months to try to meet with Governor Lee, to try to meet with representatives. He just got, denied. Glenn Casada, when he was speaker, just ignored him. He would be in there trying to talk to people and they just ignore him. They did these protests outside the state house. Instead of meeting with this young man, Bill Lee spent $1 million on state trooper overtime to have all these state troopers line up in front of the state legislature and pretend they're protecting something against a peaceful protest. Then these men went into the state legislature in the next session and passed a law making it a felony to camp outside because, they had some tents and some water and they're sitting outside. They're having a elongated, they're just being there. And so they quashed the protest because they passed this law saying it's a felony. Well, because no one wants to go to jail. No one wants to lose their voter rights, right? So the protests are dismissed. But Justin Jones won't go have it. And he ran for state office. He won his primary. He's in one of the few state Democratic strongholds in Tennessee. He will be in the state legislature in January. And this is such a success story. And so Governor Bill Lee wouldn't listen to this young man, wouldn't have a meeting with him. But now he's going to have to listen to him when he's on the state floor, at least a little bit, and I think that's what we need. The people that are out there that want change, run for office, help someone run for office, it doesn't even have to be the state legislature. It could be school board, could be county commission. Find a board, a volunteer board in your city that you can make an impact on, or just help someone do that. And this is how we make change. And it's a hard, slow slog, I think. But I'm really excited to see what he does. He's going to be a great voice. He's been involved with Reverend Barber in the Poor People's Campaign. And I think he's going to bring a great voice to a lot of people who've been voiceless for too long.
I requested that Billy on my show. I was told, Bill Lee, I want to talk to you. I said, he comes to my university, MLK Day, the fake, like he really cares about Black people. TS, I went to school at.
Yeah.
Come every day. Oh, MLK Day, wow, you love Black people. Can't come on a Black show. And then crickets.
They hate to be called racist, but they keep doing things that are it just exposes them. It exposes what they're doing. Let me tell you what I first heard about Justin Jones because about 6 years ago, he was in a diner speaking with my current rep at the time, Micah Van Huss, who's since been voted out. And there were 3 other reps, all white guys. And Justin Jones was kind of talking to them about the voucher bill. And he said, hey, you're bringing, and he did what you were talking about earlier, someone calling you racist. This is what Micah did to him because Justin mentioned race. And he said, hey, you got all these white men, y'all are doing this to Black communities. And, Micah, he's not the smartest guy in the world. He's like, ha, You're the racist. There's a video of it, right? And it's this ignorant position that conservative white people take, that any mention of race or oppression or racism is racism, right? Like you can't mention it. That the idea of a colorblind society is no one ever talk about it, which is just asinine, right? Like, if your kitchen's on fire, you can't just go sit in the living room and pretend that's not happening, right? Like these things are happening. And I think that there's too many white legislators who feel like it's polite when they go in and vote for these things that hurt minority communities, but they didn't say anything racist. Like they're doing racist actions. They're passing
your
these
actions are racist, but you don't want it to be called out. And but you tell me you love God. Brad, this is what I said about time. I called the University of Georgia a Klan rally on Saturdays. It's like all these conservatives are cheering for the Georgia football. A lot of young black bodies are cheering for entertainment. You don't care about the lives the rest of the week. Only when they win your team a game on Saturday.
No, they're working for them. They're working for them. I mean, it's plantation mentality if we really want to get down to it, right? I mean, you're as long as you can benefit me, then that's okay. But then the second you want to be equal and stand next to me, I think too many people have a problem with that. And we're still unwinding it. The history isn't long ago. I mean, it's still present day, and we're still, and to a certain extent, I don't know. Clearly there's some percentage of the population that's just never going to change. But I'm hopeful. I have a lot of hope in Gen Z and Gen Alpha. My daughter's 10. And I brought her up. I started talking about race with her when she was 5, because when I was that age, I heard racist things. So I think every parent started like, at what point is it appropriate to start teaching my children? Well, if you got a black child, they learn about racism real quick because they experience it. So, why shouldn't I make sure my daughter is?
3 years old, I learned about it. 3.
There you go.
3.
And how did that affect you? And you're still hearing about it now, and having this woman refer to you as a colored in these old racist terms. And I mean, how old are you now, JR?
35.
Okay. So you've had 32 years of being keenly aware of racism, right?
Yeah, because I got called a monkey at 3 years old playing T-ball. Look at that monkey. Like, what monkey? Where's a monkey?
I mean, when are we gonna get past this? We can't get past it by ignoring it. And I wish some people understood. I think there's too many white men, especially. They only work with white men. They're only around white men. They go to church with white men. Like they just never around anyone else. And look, be around whoever you want to be around, but you got to understand that like your perception of people you don't know is flawed.
And Brad, I'll be honest with you, Brad. I'm not saying about you, but a lot of white men who I know, they talk to me because of what I do. Now, I know you're not like that. Me and you're really friends.
Yeah,
but it's because of what I do for a living, and they look at me as a successful black per se. I can talk to that guy. But don't care nothing about us no matter. But I'm the exception to the rule because of what I do for a living.
Yeah,
and that's the part that annoys me. Like I knew Clay Travis years ago. He was a sports dude. We don't talk anymore.
No, I don't blame you.
Because I knew early on what he was about. I was I was a acceptable black to him because I was in the media. I'm a sports guy.
Yeah.
I'm in the NBA. I'm gonna get close to JR. No, I knew what you was about. So a lot of these white guys in sports who talk to me is trying to be my friends.
Well, this is what you bring up a very good point, because you're talking about losing sponsors because of things on your show, but guys like Clay Travis don't. And there's been a melding of sports coverage and far right wing talking points. Like it's shocking. It's shocking, like how they're not just talking sports. They got to inject, race issues, anti-trans, Trump, like whatever. They're injecting all these right-wing politics into sports, and I think, and it's a lot of disinformation too. It's I don't know. It's like the attention economy, right? They're doing anything to get attention. And I think it's hard to get attention doing serious things and meaningful things, but being outrageous and look at Kanye this week, right? Like you could just say the most outrageous things, say blatantly anti-Semitic things, because
it's on their side, it's okay.
Right.
Because it's their view of the world, it's okay. But JR is saying reality, he's a racist, he's a radical leftist, he's a Marxist, I'm Antifa. I've been called everything in my emails, Brad. I've been called an N-word, I've been threatened, all these things because I speak truth to power. And one thing about me is I said, look, I can be friends with anybody. But if I know you're radical, we're not gonna be friends. Yeah. Like Clay Travis. We used to be cool, but we're not anymore.
Yeah. And it's radical to divide people. It's radical to segment people into straight and gay and white and black and red and blue and like that is radical. It's 2022. We know about each other. We should be aspiring to treat everyone equally, but we're not doing that. We say that that's what we're about, but we really are at a time where we need to show it, I think.
And, and Brad, I got 5 minutes to go before we got to get out of here. My job is to unify people and tell people the truth. And if you don't want to sponsor this show, I don't care because I can get other sponsors too. But my job is to be truthful with my guests, truthful with the listeners, and be real with people. And the majority of people who know me know I'm very real and I'm not faking phone. Yeah. I'm a man of my word. So like when your sponsor tells me or a listener tells me, I'm just not like, you don't know me personally. So I'm like, you're spouting your radical views because I don't agree with you. So you want to call me out of my name, which is fine. I'm a big boy. I've been doing this 13 years, Brad. It don't bother me. I'm okay.
Yeah. Yeah. You need to, especially if you're in a position to speak up, because there's a lot of people around here. I hear it all the time. They're like, oh, here's what's going on. Don't use my name. Don't say anything, because they're threatened by their job, sometimes their peer group, whatever, maybe even their church, like they feel like they can't speak up. So I think when you're in a position to speak up and you do that, like keep doing that, because there's a lot of people who are nodding their head along with you as they listen, but they're in a position where, if they speak up on the level that you do, they might lose their job or get pressure they don't need to come under. So I think it's real important to keep being who you are and speaking that truth to power.
No doubt, Brad. Now, thank you so much for on the show, man. I love our chats, man. I wish we could do a little bit longer today, but I got to run this fundraiser for Reverend Warnock here. So
yes, please do that. Please do that. I'm very hopeful. I think he's going to win, and it's going to be really good. And God, that we can do another 40 minutes on that race, but yeah.
Yes, 100%. So, man, hey, you be safe, buddy. I'll see you soon, man.
Thanks, JR. Take care, bud.
All right, bye now. Folks, football is back, and BetOnline remains your number one source for all your football betting needs this season. You'll find latest odds, matchup info, player news, and game trends. As your continued source for all sports wagering info, BetOnline features live betting, free contests, live scores, and giveaways all season long. Always the fastest and easiest way to bet all your favorite sports and events like MLB, MMA, tennis, boxing, and even golf. Head to betonline.ag, that's betonline.ag, to receive your 100% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Make sure you use the promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, to receive your rewards. BetOnline, where the game starts, and also BetOnline sponsors the Bossman Show on your radio.
Breaking news coming in from Bet365, and it's no surprise. Same game parlay from Bet365 just keeps getting better.
Well, it's even easier to make a bet. Choose from the most popular markets like hits, run line, totals, and home runs. So many to choose from.
Download the app, start building your bet, and see why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Ohio. T&Cs apply.